Perfect. All right, perfect. So welcome, man. I am excited. I am excited to have both of y'all here. Hopefully some other people will jump on, but if not, like I said, it's okay. We had a number of people actually register, and we're going to be promoting every day. And if you know anybody who is a solopreneur, anybody who's an entrepreneur, anyone who's just trying to get started in business, wherever they are on that spectrum, definitely feel free to invite them. Everyone is welcome. The program for 13 weeks is totally free. We'll talk about that as we go on. But if you know anybody, like I said, anyone who is potentially relying on sales, might rely on sales, or even they just have a business idea, or you've talked to them about business before and you see that they haven't quite done anything, then invite them on the call, because yes, we'll be talking about sales, but we'll also be touching on business. We'll be touching on entrepreneurship, and we'll be touching on, moving ideas from, inside of your head to actually getting that out to the real world, and then ultimately, hopefully turning that into dollars. So tonight, this is just a opening overview call. I want to talk about the program, give you a little bit more insight into why I started the program, what the program actually entails this year, and then give you an opportunity to, again, sign up, as well as just think on it. We have about 2 weeks until the program actually officially starts. And I know one thing that is important is preparing your mind to go into such an intense level of focus and execution and dedication, because there are going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to change, a lot of things that you're going to have to shift in order for you to accommodate the different things that you're learning. Even if it's something as simple as you making a slight adjustment to your schedule so that you can make the calls. Whatever that change is going to entail for you over the next 90 days, you want to try to mentally prepare yourself, because that'll help you mentally prepare your body, as well as just your overall momentum in making that shift in your life. So here we are, 90 days of focus, fall 2021 session, and want to just go over the call overview. We should be out of here in about 2 hours. I'm just
I got time.
2 hours. We should be out of here and definitely in under an hour. I've got a number of slides to go through, but I will try not to talk too much. So we should be out of here in anywhere between, I say, 45 to 60 minutes. If we're lucky, 30 to 45. I do have since I got some family on the call, I can tell you, I do got my grandpa's impediment of talking too much, but it's all good. So the call overview, basically we'll have a welcome. We'll go over some of the early details. We'll go over the program itself, and then we'll close it out. So we'll keep it real simple. All right. So as you know, 90 Days of Focus starts Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. I'm still defining, because this is a Saturday and the meetings aren't until Monday. I'm still trying to finalize exactly what I want to do for that Saturday and that Sunday. So I have a few ideas on how I want to tighten that up. But just know mentally that the program starts October 2nd. All right, so a brief history. I actually started 90 Days of Focus now 3 years ago, which is hard to believe, because when I first started 90 Days of Focus, it really was it was partly a social media experiment, as well as just an opportunity for me to really start to change gears and start to stop doing some of the things that I was doing that I knew was preventing me from getting to the next level, as well as just actually increasing my focus so I actually could start to get certain things done, so I could build more momentum and move at a quicker, faster pace than what I was currently moving at. And that social media experiment, and we'll talk about this later on, but the social media experiment, that component of it actually falls under what we'll talk about at some point with branding and personal branding. But at that point, in terms of my social media usage, I was still in what they call the listening phase. The listening phase, if you are active on social, if you haven't been active on social, or if you're more of kind of sit back and you watch everything that's going on, but you aren't really posting that much. Well, as you make the transition from being more of a passive user to being more of an active and intentional user, there's a learning curve and a learning process that you have to go through. And during that learning process, that learning curve, that's kind of your listening stage. So I was in the listening stage where I was creating content. I was still trying to figure out, what I was going to use social media for and how I was going to use it. Because at that particular point, I was in a transition period in my own professional career. So I wasn't at a point where I wanted to use it to try to draw business attention to me, but I wanted to use it so that I could start becoming more comfortable, one, using it actively and proactively, using it intently, and then using it in a manner that would draw attention to me beyond me just posting about an article or posting a quote or putting, a thought out there about something I was thinking about, but really drawing attention to me and utilizing it intentionally. So fast forward to where we are today. This call, this program, all of this is a result of going through that process of transitioning to utilizing social media intentionally so that we can use it as a tool to help benefit us, right? As well as communicate our message, communicate our thoughts, but do it in a way that is constructive and allows us to capitalize and actually reap something from the time that we're investing in social media, right? There's a return on investment, and we'll talk a lot about that. But this is actually the very first post when I started 90 Days of Focus, and this was September 23rd of 2019. So let me turn my volume up real quick and let me know if it's too loud. I'll turn it down, but I want to show you how it all started. And it's funny because when I look at this, I'm like, man, so many things I see, but you got to start where you are and just go. So we'll watch this really quickly. Let's finish our first workout of our 90-day push. Nice cool 2 miles to get body going again after about a week and a half, maybe in 2 weeks. Oops. Being lazy, not treating our body right, not getting enough sleep, not eating the right things, not working out as frequently as we should have, having a drink here and there. You know how it goes. But we've refocused, we've rededicated, we figured out some new fitness goals, we simplified our fitness goals, we simplified our fitness plan, and now we're on a 90-day push with a big triumphant experience at the end. And we want you to join us in that 90-day push. So what I promise to do over the next 90 days, I promise to post a motivational, inspiring video from me working out, from me going through my fitness. All right, so that's a clip from when I literally that very first video. And some of the things I mentioned, we're coming off of summer. I was having too much fun, that summer. I had gotten out of shape. I wasn't working out like I should. And so I came up with a simple goal. The simple goal was to post every day for 90 days on social media, to post my insights and something that was inspirational or motivational based on what my number one goal at the time was, and that was focusing on my fitness and utilizing that 90 days to increase my physical fitness. So that's really how 90 days came to be. Now, some of the things that we accomplished, and again, this is just with regard to some of the things that I was focused on. I posted 90 straight days of content that I created, again, for social media. I had been posting, but I hadn't been posting with that level of frequency. And as you get deeper into using social media, the more imperative it comes that you're using it and you're posting every single day, or at a minimum every other day, but preferably every day. And then depending on how many followers, how big your community is, et cetera, the different networks that you're a part of, there's multiple posts per day. So you might be posting once or twice or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times, depending on how big your operation is. So this allowed me to get into that mode of posting content, posting it every single day, creating videos, editing videos, learning how to do all of this from my cell phone. We also, again, created content for 90 straight days. We actually, that time we created a new seminar. At that point, I hadn't created a seminar in quite some time, but because I had just got probably 2 months before I started 90 Days of Focus, I had actually been getting coached myself for speaking and coaching, and I'll cover that in a second. But as a result of that coaching, I had decided to come up with a program. So I came up with this seminar called the Wealth Blueprint. Another thing, I had run the furthest I had ever run in a single outing by December. Now, mind you, when I started 90 Days of Focus, I hadn't really been running. I've been running, a mile, 2 miles here, maybe 3 miles. But by December, I was running 12 miles an outing, and I was running every single day, where I was running 3 miles, I was running 5 miles, I was running 8 miles, I was running 10 miles, I was running 12 miles. And my mindset was I was preparing to run a marathon. I was going to do 26.2. And I ended up losing focus after this 90 Days of Focus, which, we'll talk about. But anyway, I ran more miles in a month than I had run in the same period of time over the last 10 years. I had run the fastest mile I had run in the last 10 years. And when we talk about performance, the reason why I bring some of these things up, and we'll talk about this, but is because I was able to establish benchmarks on what performance looked like. And then I was able to measure my performance based on those benchmarks. And so these were easy ways for me to measure those benchmarks, as well as measure the progress that I was able to make over the course of 90 days. And then another big thing that happened, I actually hired my first accountability coach. This was actually the second coach that I hired, but this was the first accountability coach that I hired. And after hiring that first coach, it really opened up my eyes to the reality that we need coaches. If I don't know, how much you know about my athletic background, but I had always been an athlete. I'd always been coached. I had been, team captain. I performed at the collegiate level. But when you think about sports and you think about coaching, it's an automatic. But when you think about your profession and your professional performance, it's not automatic that you think about coaches. And really, it hasn't been until the last 5 years or so that coaching has become more mainstream because of social media, and there are more coaches that are more visible. But just as you need coaching for your athletics, you need coaching for various areas of your professional life as well. So when I hired that first accountability coach, that really helped me, one, with the accountability, and it helped me release the chains and the bonds of what had been holding me back, because ultimately we're holding ourselves back. There's nobody else holding us back but us. And until somebody else comes in and they can provide that extra set of eyes, and they can provide that honest conversation, and more importantly, you have someone that you can be honest with and you can communicate the different challenges that you're facing, then that allows you to get that stuff off of your chest. The sooner you can get it off of your chest, the sooner you can develop things, pathways that help you get beyond it. So hiring that first accountability coach was significant. All right, so let's see. All right, so this is how that 90 Days of Focus ended. I put together, every day I was posting. So day one, it would be day one, day two. So this is the day 90 video. And this one is actually kind of long. So I'm going to try to skip through it to kind of find just the section that I wanted to show you, because it does include some footage from the first day, which you might recognize. Okay, so part of the program, at the end of it, we create something where we celebrate, and that celebration is going to be on you. You'll come up with it, but the idea is that you have to learn to reward yourself for different accomplishments, for different successes, and by rewarding yourself, right? waiting for a spouse or a girlfriend, or in this case, we don't have bosses or a boss or a manager or a parent. You have to get to a point where that external validation is nice, and that external confirmation is nice, right? It's nice, it's appreciated. It definitely helps to boost your confidence, but you also have to be able to do that for yourself. And part of what 90 Days of Focus does is it helps you to start to have a higher level of awareness about creating systems and creating processes and creating an environment that helps you perform at an optimal level, so that you aren't depending on these different stimuli to be able to carry you through, because ultimately your performance and your ability to perform at a high level, it ultimately falls on you. So you have to be able to develop, you have to be able to recognize, and you have to be able to create that environment that allows you to go through that process and allows you to hold yourself accountable. So for my victory, because my fitness and running was my #1 goal, on the literally, it was on the last day of 90 Days of Focus, I was running a 3.1 short, 5K race. And this is the video of me basically in the car heading down to the race and talking about it.
Emotional preparation, and just really our overall planning for this 5K, man. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. It'll be good to get out and run with a lot of strangers. And more importantly, most important thing I'm excited about is this is the official conclusion of 90 Days of Focus, as well as the official commencement on the road to 26.2. So let's go ahead and get it. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, so that's me heading down there. We'll try to get to me just finishing up. And one of the things, if you pay attention to the video, by day 90, you could tell I had a lot more energy. I had a lot more confidence on camera. I had a lot more power in my voice. And for me, I'll come back to that.
It was a good run. I wasn't prepared. It was a trail run. I didn't realize that it was going to be as rocky as it was. So we got it done. I ran an excellent time too. And, 7% average, which is a lot faster than what I've been training at. And it's good people to push me and to stay focused on get to the end of the run. So I'm tired. I'm starting to think, why did I commit to 26.2? So we're going to keep it moving. We're going to stay strong. And we're going to continue to get better.
All right. So being a communicator, I've been through Toastmasters. I've done a lot when it comes to communication. So part of when you start to use social media, part of the challenge is transferring your communication skills from how you are every day or in a presentation environment or in a formal speaking environment where you're on stage to now transferring that to video. So when I look at video, there are a lot of nuances that I'm able to pick out, a lot of different things I'm able to notice. So when I said earlier, you could tell from the very first video, I was tired, I was spinning. I was trying to think of what I was going to say. The power of my voice was weak. But after 90 days of posting, 90 days of feeling comfortable in front of the camera, 90 days of training, 90 days of being focused, I was able to go into this race. Literally, the temperature was about 35 degrees and run this 3.1 miles. Ran a great time, like I mentioned, faster than what I had been training at. And that was just to cap off the overall 90 days of focus. And for me, that was confirmation that I was actually onto something by creating this 90-day environment where I was able to focus on certain things, get to that higher level of execution, and then dramatically increase my performance over the course of that 90 days. So that's how everything ended in 2019. 2020 was similar. We had different goals, but it was very similar to this in terms of documenting and everything. All right, so that initial 2019 90 days of focus, it led us to year two. We did year two of 90 days of focus in 2020. And then because people had seen me posting about this on social media for 2 years, by the end of that second 90 days of focus, there were people who, friends, family, who were following me, new contacts I had just met. And so within a short period of time, people were like, yo, I want to be a part of this. Like, I see what you're doing. I see, the execution and the performance. I get what you're trying to do with the mindset and the focus and everything. I want to be a part of that. So what I decided to do is I decided to put together a small group of people, and I put together this cohort. This was in the spring of earlier this year. We ran through the program. They saw phenomenal results in their execution, phenomenal results in their sacrifice, phenomenal results in their mindset. And so for me, that was, again, confirmation and validation that I was actually on to something good. And so that led to where we are with year three, doing 90 days of focus in the fall of 2021, as well as actually putting together a formal 90-day program that is ultimately designed to help you elevate your game. When I started in 2019, I didn't start with a whole program. I just had some simple goals. I had, focus on what I wanted to accomplish, and that's how we executed. But by putting together this formal program, it now has allowed me to be able to share this with you. As well as creating this program, it also led to additional interest and additional support. And you'll see these are just some of the screenshots that I pulled from some of my recent posts. Folks like, yo, I'm in, I'm looking forward to the motivation. People saying I'm ready. We got Allende on there saying nice. My boy Marsalis talking about I've been waiting on this. So people have actually been taking notice, and they've been excited that this is coming around, again, because they've seen what I've been able to do in my life. And they know that for them, like, I can't tell you, even with this formal program, which we'll go over, I can't tell you what you need to focus on in terms of, what you need to cut out, what you're struggling with, what is preventing you from getting to the next level. Inherently, we know these things. So what this environment does is, again, it allows you to confront those things, to face those things, and then to be able to hopefully move past them, or at least lay that groundwork and that foundation, and give you the tools and the skills and experience that you need to ultimately get past them and to conquer them, and to have the tools to overcome them should they pop up again. So, all right, where's my water? All right, so here's the program overview. Now, it's 90 days, but I think it ultimately covers 13 weeks because we'll be meeting once a week for these group coaching calls. I think it's going to be 13 sessions in total across 90 days. So we've got a 13-week program. We have weekly group coaching calls via Zoom. So every week we'll get on a call. I'll go over the 13 weeks in a second, but every week we'll get on a call. We'll have a group session. I'll go over a specific topic, and then we'll have a Q&A. And then next week, we'll continue to move like that. Now, in terms of the accountability, initially the accountability starts with you, right? I can't make you do the work. I can't make you do the things that you need to do day to day. But at least, every Monday when that call comes around, you have something to whip you back into shape, right? I still get coached now on certain things, specifically actually in sales, real estate sales. And one of the things that I love is, no matter if I start to veer off a little bit, I know every Wednesday I've got my coaching call, and that helps to bring you back center. It helps to refocus you. So that's one of the benefits of this program, is we'll have the weekly call. And then finally, the coaching and accountability. And I'll touch on that again. The weekly calls are for the accountability. Every week when we go over something, I'm essentially coaching you through different skills and topics. Now, how I transition from having kind of a general goal list for the initial 90 days of focus to transitioning it to where we're focused on, literally, we're focused on business, we're focused on sales, we're focused on revenue. increase in business, increase in sales, increase in revenue. Now, if you remember in the beginning, I told you it partly started out as the social media experiment, the getting more comfortable with putting yourself out there, drawing in that attention. Well, ultimately, my goal for using social media has always been to use it strategically. If I wasn't using it strategically, then there's no reason for me to be on social media spending a ton of time, right? As an entrepreneur, a business owner, your time is valuable. So if you're wasting time on social media, you're not investing that time and that energy into your business. So with that long-term vision, as I got to where I am now, the pivot was, okay, well, I'm going to continue to do 90 days of focus, but now it's time for me to do it in an area that is going to benefit me, because my mindset right now is focused on business, is focused on sales, and is focused on revenue. So that's where I made that transition to focus this program entirely on sales, as well as the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I've been through the entrepreneur, the solopreneur, the business owner. I've been doing that for over 11 years. I've had my wins and I've had my losses, and we'll talk about that during the 13 weeks. But one of the things that I have become very passionate about is the fact that business owners, people get into entrepreneurship, they get into entrepreneurship for a lot of different reasons. But one of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge for a lot of them, is the sales piece, learning how to market, learning how to brand, learning how to pitch, learning how to do all of these different things, in addition to all the things you need to learn about business and about entrepreneurship. So one of the things that I want to focus on personally is helping entrepreneurs get through those different nuances, and especially from a real estate standpoint. And I have a real estate community, where I do all of that. But anyway, so for me, my goals over the course of the next year and a half, these are some of the goals I want to share with you, and they're all production oriented. CoStar is a very large company, commercial real estate company, industry recognized for a lot of different things. They provide a lot of services to the industry. And one of the things that they provide is basically they give out awards every year. One of the awards that they give out is called a Power Broker Award. Now, in order for me to get a Power Broker Award, I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need to sell, but I know that in order for me to get kind of up there where some of the big boys are, I'm going to need to be at least 25 million, 30 million, 40 million. So for me, I have a goal of 50 million in transaction value. And that's based on research, and we'll talk about that research, knowing what's possible, benchmarking off of other people's success and things like that. The second goal I have is being recognized as an icon real estate broker within my commercial real estate company. In order for you to get recognized as an icon, you have to have 500,000 in gross commission income, which is basically within a 12-month period. And then finally, I want to get a CCIM designation. And in order for you to fully qualify for the CCIM designation, you have to have done at least 30 million in commercial real estate transactions. So in a year and a half, I can knock out all three of those goals based on my skills, my experience, my coaching, right? My advisors, the system that I've built around me, and then more importantly, my mindset and my ability to create this environment and then to execute the sales piece, the business, the branding, all the marketing, all of that type of stuff. So for me, these are my goals during the 90 days of focus, is continuing to lay that groundwork and continuing to do that work. So one of the benefits of this 90 days of focus is as we go through it, everything that I'm talking about every single week, everything I'm coaching you on is stuff that I've learned, is stuff that I've been coached on, is stuff that I've experienced. And more importantly, it's stuff that I'm applying every single day. So you have the benefit of the coaching and the teaching, but also the daily insight of me going through my own process of literally being in the trenches and doing the exact same thing that I'm trying to help you do. Now, supplement the weekly calls. Again, for 90 days of focus, one of the strategies is I post every single day. So every single day, I'm going to be posting some type of insight video where I'm talking strictly about sales. I'm talking strictly about business, revenue and lead generation and all of the different things we're talking about. So you have the benefit of being able to tap into those videos in addition to the weekly calls as a way for you to, one, stay motivated, stay focused, to stay hungry, all of that stuff, because this is the same stuff that I'm doing and that I've done to be able to maintain the mindset and the self-discipline that you need to be able to perform at a higher level. All right. So before I go on, let me go back. Any questions? Any questions? If you have a question, just unmute yourself. I'm gonna take a drink of water. All right. So, all right, moving on. So with that in mind, the entire focus for 90 days of focus, all right, is to help you develop and implement a framework that will help you achieve measurable results towards increasing your business's revenue. All right. Now, I'm not going to make you any guarantees and say, yeah, you're going to increase your revenue 100% or 50% or 200%. That's not my job. My job is to help equip you with those tools, with that mindset, right? With the awareness to help you implement that framework and that infrastructure, because business, entrepreneurship, sales, being a business owner, being a CEO, we're talking years, right? Like we're talking a lifetime. If you're dedicated to your business, you're dedicated to entrepreneurship. So what we'll be able to accomplish in 90 days is going to be great. And it's going to be measurable, but I'm not going to make you any guarantees because one, I don't know what type of work you're going to put in. I don't know what challenges you're going to have along the way, because you will have challenges. I don't know if you'll be able to maintain focus and full focus. I don't know what your schedule is like. All I can promise you is that we're going to go over the information that is going to help you develop that framework. And if you implement any of what we talk about, you will have measurable results towards increasing your business's revenue. That's the entire goal of this 90 days of focus. All right, so the program is designed to help raise your awareness about what sales is, why it's important, how it impacts your business, why you need to get better at sales, how to get better at sales, and how to systematically approach sales in your daily life. One thing I can tell you, and this may be, I know Kadeem is in a sales position now, so he may be going through some sales training, but I can tell you generally, when people get into business, they may have a particular skill set when it comes to the type of service or product that they provide. But that skill set and that you have with that product or that service, that doesn't mean that you are good at sales. It doesn't mean that you know anything about sales. It doesn't mean that you really understand the connection between sales and revenue. It doesn't mean you have the discipline to be able to execute on a daily basis what you need to execute in order for you to generate sales. So one of the things that I realized as I was going through my entrepreneurial journey is that one, you definitely have to learn all these different skill sets, or at least learn a little bit about a lot, because ultimately you're like an orchestrator. But as I was going through my different modules, basically of learning about this and learning about that and learning about that, one of the areas that I neglected basically until the kind of like on the back end, right? Like if we say we're going through 10 chapters of entrepreneurship, I basically saved sales for like chapter 8 or 9, right? Like when it probably should have been first. Now, luckily, you know, I was naturally good at generating business and was able to generate business in order to create a profitable business and to sustain that. But ultimately what happened is I did not have all of the skills that I needed to manage the sales, to effectively grow the sales, to maintain that type of momentum, as well as managing the overall business, as well as the strategy, all these different things that you have to learn. So for me, I want you to be able to put the sales training and the sales mindset on the front end. Not to mention, it's not just the skill sets and the mindsets that are important, but there's also literally the personality types, right? I am traditionally more of an introvert, traditionally more quiet and more reserved. So when you talk about personality and what your personality characteristics are, that has to be taken into account as well when it comes to your ability to naturally sell, as well as when it comes to your ability to force yourself to do the things that you need to do to sell, because sometimes that may be counterintuitive to what you are naturally comfortable doing, even though you have to do it. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Now, and I mentioned if you're new to business or have been in business for a while, then you know focus is one of the major keys to your success. I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago. It was just a general article about COVID and teachers being back in the office back in the classroom. And one of the things that I had taken from that article, it had nothing to do with COVID. Well, it did, but the teacher was talking about being back in the classroom and how important it is that teachers are in the classroom and they're actually teaching, because she said this is a performance profession. And what I took from that is, one, if you're in a performance related profession, right, when you're teaching, you're the one giving the knowledge, you're the one doing the teaching. And then if you're a teacher, there's all these metrics, right, that you have to meet, that the students have to meet. So literally you have to perform. And in order for you to perform at a high level, you have to be in the right environment. You have to have the right practice. You have to have the right repetition, right? You are literally performing. So if you think about other performance professions, you think about athletes, you think about entertainers, you think about people on Broadway, right? But we should also think about salespeople. Whatever the spectrum is, when we're talking about a performance sport, we have a doctor to be on the call, right? That is a performance profession. If he can't perform at the level that he needs to perform at, that could ultimately become deadly for one of his patients, right? So when we talk about performance, it literally is life and death. And in some cases, it's literally life and death when it comes to other patients. And sometimes it's life and death when it comes to us and ultimately our business, right? So in order for us to perform and to perform at a high level, we have to understand the importance of focus, and we have to understand the importance or what focus looks like for us in our own individual lives, and what it looks like for us when we're focused, as well as what it looks like when we're not focused. And I could talk about that forever, but just to give you a hint, think back in your life. Hopefully there's a moment in time where you can think back in your life and you can say, man, I was really on the ball. I was really performing at a high level. I was really executing at a high level, or I felt great, or I was managing everything. Everything was moving smooth. However that description looks for you. And then think about a time when you weren't executing at a high level, when you might have been suffering from depression or mental health, or you may have been abusing your body, or you may have been not managing your time, right? The ebbs and flows of life. So think about when you were here, think about when you were here, and that can give you a barometer on what focus looks like and what it doesn't. And if you feel like you can't identify an area where you were that focused, then this 90 days is going to be that much more impactful, because it's going to push you to a level that you've never been before. So you have to be prepared for that jolt, because that jolt is going to be serious, and it's going to be something that you're going to have to contend with. But if you are focused and dedicated to the accomplishment of finishing the 90 days of focus, I promise you it's going to be well worth it. All right. So as an entrepreneur and business owner, your ability to generate sales for your business is your number one priority. We'll definitely talk about this as we move on. Let me do a time check. What time is it? Somebody tell me, what time is it?
7:42.
7:42. All right, perfect. So as an entrepreneur and business owner, your ability to generate sales is for your business is your number one priority. We'll dig into that definitely, but essentially sales is the lifeblood of your business. If there are no sales, is or are, whichever one, if there are no sales, you will not have a functioning business, okay? A healthy business. It'll be functioning, and we'll talk about that, but it won't be healthy. So what we'll do over this 90 days is we'll deep dive into the relationship between you and your business and your sales success and the impact it has on the health and wealth of your life as well as your business. Now, we won't get all into your numbers and what your success has been from that standpoint, but we will help make that connection so that you fully understand and grasp the concept that the sales for your business impacts your financial health, it impacts your life, and it definitely impacts your business. Now, sales is a mindset and a skill set, and it requires the proper amount of attention in order to reap the rewards. So we'll talk about how much attention are you giving to sales. We'll define what sales is. We'll help you define what your sales activity should be, because there will be some similarities, but there may be some differences in what one business needs in terms of their sales activity versus another. But essentially, we're going to boil down what are you doing for sales and how much attention are you giving to it, and then how much attention should you give it. Now, who is this 90 days of focus for? It's for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, anyone struggling with generating business or who has struggled with generating business in the past. If you've never received formal sales training, this is for you. If you've received poor or inadequate sales training, then this is for you. If you've been suffering from poor performance, habits, or mindset, then this is for you. And again, if you've struggled with generating business in the past, then this is definitely for you. Now, you are responsible for bringing in business revenue. So if you are in that position, then this program is definitely for you. And if you are in a sales role and you rely on sales to generate a commission, then this 90 days of focus is for you. So what does the roadmap to success look like from here? Easy. Step one, we have our 90 days of focus overview call. Step two, make sure you sign up. Everyone on the call, I know who is on the call tonight, so you're good to go. I have you all on the email list. When I send out the email, it'll have the access information in there. Make sure you are on those calls every Monday at 7 p.m. And that's it. We'll start the program October 2nd. And the biggest thing for you is, are you going to be able to endure? I know you'll be able to endure. I know all of you. So I know you can endure through the 90 days. So that's really it. Endure and execute. And that's your roadmap to success. Of course, attend, and we'll talk about all of that stuff. Now, to transition, sales is the most important element of growing a business, yet it's one of the least talked about and least understood aspects. And we'll touch on that, but oftentimes people are scared to get in sales. And then for people who view salespeople, they often view them in a negative light, when that really shouldn't be the case. Now, let's dig into the 13-week program in detail. Again, it starts Saturday, October 2nd. We basically have it broken down into 4 modules. The first module is mindset. The second module is execution. The third module is performance. And then the fourth module is that victory lap. There are a total of 13 lessons. We'll have the weekly group coaching calls, again, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern via Zoom. And then we'll have the daily insight videos that I'm going to publish to my social media. So you all are following me on social media. That's an opportunity for you to supplement again. Okay, no problem, Garen. Definitely, I'll send you the link for the video recording. Appreciate you for getting on. All right, so daily insight videos, and then it ends Friday, December 31st, 2021. Now, one thing I did is I shifted the 90 days of focus to start a little bit later, because before I started about a week or 10 days before the end of the year. And what I realized is that I want to carry that momentum literally into the next year. So the program is going to end on the last day of this year so that you literally start the next year. You have no choice but to start the next year in full execution mode. Okay. All right. All right, so here's the overview for each week. Week 1, now I may make some shifts in the order. I think I got a pretty good order. I think I got everything how I want it, but I might make some slight shifts, but nonetheless, these are some of the things that we'll go over in the different modules. So week 1, we'll go over mindset. We'll go over mindset principles to help you develop the mindset of an icon, of a top producer. I'll talk about labeling yourself, definitions, and the importance of labeling yourself in different ways to help drive that energy and to drive that momentum, to drive that power. Week 2, we'll talk about goal setting. We'll help you with goal setting, helping you clarify your goals and applying those goals to a structured format so that you can, as Nipsey Hussle says, you can make time do the most, right? We'll talk about that. Week 3, we'll go over time management, how to control your time and what to fill your time with, as well as analyze your time and what you're spending your time on and talk about it and make sure that you are doing the most productive and conducive things, again, to generate sales. In week 4, we'll take a deeper dive. All of this is going to be in the context of sales. All right. So when we get to week 4, it won't be our first time talking about sales. It'll just be us diving deeper into sales, sales processes, activities, avatars, and more. All right. And then at the bottom, you can see as we progress through the weeks, the different modules that we'll be going through. Week 5, we'll talk about prospecting, what prospecting is, why it matters. We'll go week 6, we'll talk about follow-up, your follow-up processes, the importance of the follow-up mindset and the importance of following up, along with the different tools, habits, and more. Week 7, I mentioned earlier, we'll talk about health, right? This is sales, entrepreneurship, business ownership. It is a performance profession. So in order for you to perform, we have to talk about health. Health is wealth, especially when it comes to sales. Week 8, we'll talk about accountability, holding yourself accountable and what self-accountability looks like. All of that under performance. Week 9, we'll talk about results and monitoring your results and facing your truth, because your results ultimately is your truth. Week 10, we'll talk about performance. How do you view and approach performance, as well as how do you improve it? As well as at that point, we'll have a good opportunity where we'll be able to analyze our results and be able to contextualize our performance based on the reality of what we've been doing. Week 11, we'll talk about wealth. And as we transition to week 11, we're now transitioning into this victory lap, right? The idea behind the victory lap is that literally there's a celebration at the end for ending. But also your sales success should lay the foundation for you to be able to start to create some victories in your life. And one of the biggest areas is wealth. So we'll talk about increasing income. We'll talk about how that the increase in sales and business revenue and business profit, how to ultimately be able to leverage that into wealth. And how all of that comes together. So hopefully by the end of week 11, you'll literally be able to see that not only do you have the power to control your financial destiny, but you also have the power to be able to create an environment where you now have created wealth for yourself, or at least laid the foundation for you to be able to create wealth. All right. And then week 12, I may change week 12 and come up with something different, but we'll talk about resources, tools and resources. We'll also do an open Q&A. And then week 13 is our victory lap. We'll just celebrate. You'll have an individual celebration for, whatever you come up with at the beginning of 90 days. And between now and the start of the 90 days of focus, that's something I want you to think about, is like, what am I going to do for me to celebrate the fact that I invested in myself, I took the time, the energy, and the effort to literally invest in myself, invest in my future, invest in my business, to make a change in my life, to try to do better, perform better. What is something that I am going to do for me? And it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be taking yourself out to dinner. It could be taking yourself to a movie. It could be taking yourself to get a massage. Whatever it is, something that you can do for you and that'll make you feel good, and that'll be something as a show of appreciation to yourself for everything that you've done. And then again, on a daily basis, we'll have our daily insight videos, which will be published on social media. Now, for coaching and accountability, this is actually Coach Kendall Ficklin. This is actually the first official coach, professional coach that I hired from a professional standpoint. And Coach K, man, great guy. He's actually, I don't want to say protege, because he's a great speaker and a great business person in his own right. But he was coached by Eric Thomas. If you follow Eric Thomas, E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, you know that he is arguably the #1 motivational speaker in the world. And Coach Ficklin is one of the people who coached me and poured into me. And through my experience going through his program and his coaching, not only did it help me find clarity and help me, make some decisions about where I was, as well as help me contextualize some of the things that I have been through, but it also laid the groundwork for me to really learn and appreciate the benefit of having a coach and having a coach in your corner. And it inspired me to be able to fulfill that position for somebody else because of how life-changing it was for me. So this is part of that process of me being able to create that environment where I'm able to help other people have their breakthroughs. And then Coach.me is actually the program that I used when I hired that accountability coach, that second coach. And that experience was so life-changing and so powerful and so impactful that I actually decided to get certified through Coach.me. And then I leveraged that platform to start my own coaching business. And that's when I started to actually coach other people after having gone through 2 coaches, after having, invested a lot of time and energy in developing my coaching skills. So that's where the coaching and accountability comes in. Of course, with my background and experience that is infused as well. So the question basically becomes, are you focused enough on your business's revenue and what you are doing on a daily basis to drive sales? At the end of the day, the only thing that matters are the results. And this is actually from one of my early coaching clients who, this was long before I decided to put together a sales coaching program. When I say long, I mean this was over 1.5 years ago. Long before I decided to put together anything on a formal sales program, sales training, sales coaching. This was a client that hired me to help her with her sales, corporate sales. And this testimonial, Kevin is a phenomenal coach. I worked with him to help reach my sales goals, primarily in the area of prospecting. He held me accountable and helped me develop strategies that were instrumental in achieving my goals. Our weekly calls and text communication helped to build and maintain momentum even when distractions persisted. And as a result of working with Kevin, I increased my prospecting efforts by 250%, which was more than I had done in the past 2 years. So again, a lot of the things we talked about in this call, this is just the manifestation of what that could look like for you. And this was a great testimonial. And every time I read it, man, I can't thank her enough for articulating that and capturing that accurately, totally on her own and totally based on her experience through our coaching sessions. All right. So again, if you haven't signed up, you can sign up now. This will basically take you to my website where you can sign up. And when you sign up for the program, I just want to show you something. Now, the program is free. All right. When you select your option, there are 2 options. There's one where you have access to the live weekly video calls. So get on the call, make sure you're there. If you want lifetime access to the video recordings, then that's going to cost you a little bit. Right now, what do we have? All right. So Lifetime access gets you all group coaching video call recordings from the session. You get a 50% discount if you sign up before the deadline. Now, the program itself is easily over $1,000. When I pay for coaching, I pay for coaching as low as $25 a week to I've paid a couple $1,000. The coaching I'm in now, I'm paying a couple $1,000. And then there's levels to those coaching programs to where ultimately I'll be spending $20,000 just on this one coach for this one program in this one area. So one of the things that is going to be challenging, but also life-changing, is as you get through the process of getting comfortable working with coaches and being able to identify coaches who can help you solve a problem, and then being able to pay those coaches for their service, because that's going to help you get the access, get the knowledge, get the information, get the accountability, get the network, all of these different things. So there's a growth process with that. But I can tell you 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, the idea of me spending $20,000 on a single coach was mind-boggling. But now I know that people are spending $100,000 a year or more for coaching to have access to the caliber of coaching that can demand that level of pricing. So the program itself is easily worth over $1,000. The recordings easily, in addition to the 1,000, are worth 200 easily. You get 13 hours of recorded video instruction. If you sign up early, you also get easy access to the additional 90 plus video insight videos, which you'll have access to through my social media. But if you want easy access to them where you can just watch them over and over easily, you'll also get that benefit. And then again, lifetime access right now is $199, but you get 50% off. Just use the checkout code on my website, 9050. And then that's it. Thank you for attending. And then if you have any questions, let me know. If you don't have any questions, again, we'll run a call next week, next Monday, 7 p.m. the same time. The official program starts on Saturday, October 2nd. It ends Friday, December 31st. And we'll have our weekly calls Monday at 7. So any questions?
So what's Saturday, October 2nd? I know you said that's the official start date. So is that when you're gonna kind of like officially launch? So we're gonna meet Saturday and Monday, or just the 4th?
I think what we'll do, I think we're gonna meet on just that Monday. I haven't decided, but I think we'll just meet on that Monday. And then I'll give you a couple things to do to start in preparation for the call. And then on Saturday and Sunday, part of the program too is you putting certain things in place. So it may be you posting on social media, it may be you doing certain things. For you, it may be different. For me, there are daily things that I want to accomplish. I may put in some type of plan for you to do certain things day by day so that you have that daily execution. But a lot of defining that is going to come through the 13 weeks of the program. So the first 2 days, that Saturday and Sunday, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm open to recommendations though.
Gotcha. So we launching officially October 2nd. The first live call is Monday, October 4th.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Okay. So Allende didn't have any questions. All right, cool. So I'm glad that you all made it. Let me stop the recording.